Oh God, I've been muted the entire time. Jesus. Okay, repeat what I said. Okay, you can tell this is the day I'm off. So, this has been put off, but Black Myth Wukong snuck up on me, so it was intended this was supposed to be done earlier in the week. And, of course, it's weird, I get stuck at the mini boss, but I have decapitated almost every boss except Secret Boss, including the others that give you rare items. Because I checked Steam achievements this morning, see where everybody is. So I've killed Redlong. Got White Long scales, I got that. Thunderlong is going to take, like, the last secret boss officially is Thunderlong. Now, as I said, I'm probably going to beat the Tiger boss off stream. You know the funny part about it is? The build is there. I was right on the build. That's the sad part. And there was no build right that's exactly correct, but the one that worked for me, it's Ground Smash. I'll show it in a minute. Right? That works. Now you got to decapitate a giant Buddha statue to get, well, it's a Buddha rock in reality, but I mean, that just caveats and tops off your damage without using medicine. Now, if I said this and someone said you have the right guides that are like, this is what you should have done 10 hours ago, this is the stuff you need, well, yeah, that's the beauty of the game, right? The first upload I've seen of Chapter 3 was early this morning. And that was like posted at 7 hours. Like, well, good job, guys. You get a boss that either people get stuck at, but then everybody else gets stuck at the boss for bullshit. You get stuck at the one boss, but you can't beat, but somehow people can beat the secret bosses, which are way above your station. Yeah. Make sense. So today I go over the C-SPAN here. Like, this is a hearing which was the acting USSS, well, it's United Secret Service director, who, this is the most details we have upon that day, and we really haven't had an advancement since. I mean, I'll do a quick check, but we haven't really had one. And then it had Deputy Director Arad. And it's 3 hours, but it's a lot of questions that have to pertain to what the actual investigation is, where it stands. Because this answers, what did they know of the man's motivations? Did they know? And I'll go into this. It really hasn't been like, and it's the weird thing in the US. We still aren't out of it yet. Oh yeah, I've also had a destructive cat decided to go fry a monitor. Yeah. That was on its way out. That's forgot. It's been my last day, and luckily Amazon gives like same day shipping. Yeah, so if I've had a weird 24 plus hours, yeah, it's good. Oof, but I'm going to go get coffee. But the Arat is the guy leading it, and I'll see it. You can all find it because a lot of this is there, but I'll break it down. Like, and there's still a lot of mysteries involved. Like, we've already established that it was a systematic failure. Now, as of today, they can't really answer why there was this many systematic failures. But it's a lot. He was a lot more forthcoming. Um, hmm. like he was the acting director. Like he was. Yes, I'll have it up and you'll see it. Like, but I have to go get the coffee, and yes, it's been a weird week. Like when you look at it. Also, I had to reorientate all my monitors. It's wonderful. Like two of them. Things I replaced. So, as I said, I will be right back. All right, so the pain is which is life, I guess. See, more chances, 100+ degrees, and I don't really get out. So different monitor too, by the way. Like, so a lot of this was lost in the sea. That is the drama that is our election now, as I stated before. This hearing was initially July 30th, almost a month ago. They were trying to anoint, basically, uh, they were trying to actually anoint Kamala, which I kind of called because, yeah, this was still when they were getting her in, and like right after Trump was before. Like you could say in reality, it's like Trump was still riding the bump from it. Now, in here was more the less the. It is a tagline, right? This is something people should see. Um, the idea is this establishes a lot of what we knew. Well, it's kind of what we know, but question is, like, I mean, a lot of it's more seeing is believing because a lot of these transcripts on how our governments work is it's something I've always said, and these are people, if you never understand how our government works, is how the federal government works is very different in the US than lower. I mean, it's like an overriding body. I'm all for having a decently centralized government that controls a collection of states. But you can't forget states' rights exist either. You know, without the states, the federal government wouldn't exist. You might as well just have a loose confederation or territories or states. I mean, it goes back to the argument. So a lot of these people who you see here have been here for ages. Like they know well enough what goes on. Now, this hearing was very pivotal and key because it established what the FBI knew was their motive, which is still unclear. There's no manifesto. They're trying to get into apps. And a lot of this has just been buried by the stuff in the last, 2 weeks with Kamala Harris getting the thing and the DNC convention. I guess I missed if the city hasn't burned down yet. But the fallout, this was what kind of led to that chaos. Like Democrats have been scrambling because, well, hell, we're not even to the October surprise yet, which we know is around the corner. So, the here, Paula Bot, or they call him a bot. I guess his name. Or bait. No. The Congress people can't seem to get it right themselves, so to speak. It's weird. Ronald Rowe, to my knowledge, is the current acting director. Was the acting director. But he was deputy director at the time. Weird. He has basically assumed office. He's the acting director. He's not a slouch, right? A lot of these people, what you don't get are you got basically marks. It's basically that he might be like a lot of these people, their career, they have been around a while. Like he has a bachelor's, he had that. He's been in the department for at least 15 to 20 years. It's not like somebody who does. Like she was a 29-year veteran, right? You know? Like she herself, I mean, she could have kept the job. I mean, she's been with the department for 29 years. These people are all career. I mean, they've been here. Now, a lot of this is like, I mean, they have 7,000 personnel, right? They need to have about 9,500. I mean, what do we say? Like 20, we're going on 24 years, probably longer. See, it goes back to the 9/11 idea, you know? And it's not like Secret Service just picks up goons or they pick up people. They all have, I mean, this is something the FBI establishes. It blows up the narrative that there was DEI hires or they lessened. Now, they didn't quite confirm that. Is the current batch of candidates better? And that's in this hearing as well. I mean, Homeland Secretary HHS, Homeland Security, Department of Homeland, DHS. Sorry, a lot of acronyms in our government. Yeah, so confusing if we get them wrong. Basically, DHS, it doesn't sound like a government agency. It sounds like the company before people realize it. Department of Homeland Security is what a lot of stuff got rolled into after 9/11 and into others. So these people are a rot. Let's see, Paulabot, right? So Paulabot. So Paulabot. These people are all career, right? These people are all career. 96? I mean, to get into the FBI, right? People don't know this. You just don't get into the FBI. It's not like you can be just a nobody and get in. These are career politics. It's a career appointment. And the only time you're done is if you basically screw up. I hate to say it, right? Screw up. To get into the FBI, you got to have the cream of the crop. You have to have a bachelor's. You have to pass a background check. You have to basically have the most squeaky clean record. I mean, least in part, at least to be higher up versus just a goon or like a person. I mean, it's not like what the FBI shows are. You can have these quirks. You can have quirky people. But a lot of these people are very professional. They have been around. They've talked to Congress. They talk to government officials. Like, like both of these individuals, if you see, are put together. Now, for the most part, there's not the breaks. Like, they're more professional. Now, you can say it's the weird military side haircut, right? Like, 25 years. His was 20. He's been with the thing for like 25 years. And he took the job professionally. And he himself, like, he actually acknowledged it was a chain of failures. Now, in this hearing, which I am shocked, now, Abbott is, as I said, he's been with the FBI since 96. Because how he speaks is very professional. Like, this is not a clown show as the prior hearings. Now, it's very bland for a lot. Now, the FBI was behind basically the seizing of a lot of the electronics. Okay? Which is fine. This is a bigger deal when it comes to this type of stuff. He basically goes on. It's like he's asked the question. Now, there's always going to be encrypted devices which you have to get access to. Now, maybe the guy was stupid. Do the thing. Now, let me see if it shows. These are just the opening. Like, I want to see the board. Hold on. If he shows it. Because the thing is, what does the person see is the bigger question. Oh, let's see. The thing is, they show the board. What it would have looked like. Because unlike Cheadle, right, the prior director, he actually went to Butler, Pennsylvania. And knowing that, he went to Butler, Pennsylvania, and actually had the thing of... So, this was a bigger deal. I have to see if I can find it. What was the picture, right? From... I have to find the mark, and it's... A lot of these hearings, I don't... Like... So... Pardon me. I was hoping it would be... Yes. So, here's the thing. When you see visual of how it works, like, I don't know if they show it. It's gonna bother me. Meanwhile, let me see if I can find the timestamp where he brings in the... So he has like a photo. It shows what the guy is like crouched and not crouched. So it's 150 yard. Now, official story is he debunks a lot of what is the true conspiracy theories, except for the fact that, see, okay, they found one social media account from 20 to 20, 20 to 21 that they think is his, but they can't confirm it. And he also had a WhatsApp as well as other encrypted devices. Which it showed he was a Democrat or borderline Antifa. Now, God, so a lot of these are just easier, fortunately. Talking like the other. But yes, it shows, I forget what moment it is. It shows where you could see what it looks. Oh, there it is. Okay. Here we are. Oh, God, I found it. So, oh, one of those days. So, if you look at this image, and I'll bring this up loud, this is what one of the teams would have seen. Okay. This is what one of the teams would have seen. And this is without a high-powered scope, right? Like, all they had to do was roughly look left. So this is the shooter with elbows and no elbows. Now that means, okay. Now, obviously, the sniper that took him out had a scope meant to go 1,000 yards. Okay. So 150 yards is absolutely nothing. This is what they would have seen. They would have seen it before. Like, and this is what he looks like. Do you see it? Because when they say it looks like a pinprick on top of a building. Okay. That's now under magnification, that's minor. I mean, 150 yards might look different. You have to dial it in with a spotter. Two different type sniper teams. One couldn't see him because it was blocked by a tree. The one that took the shot had him down instantly. Now, in reality, yes. Part of it is, he said if they looked left, this would have been solved. Now, there is something interesting from this hearing as well. It goes on to clarify, right? So there was a cell service issue. I guess Butler, Pennsylvania has bad infrastructure. Like, a lot of the Democrats during these hearings are harping upon basically gun control. I mean, well, if you will restrict ARs, this won't happen. No. I mean, you still got ghost guns. Half these people who advocate for that live in blue states that straight have the worst gun violence or bad demographics. Look at the UK. Ban guns. Knife crimes go up. Okay. Yeah. Real facts, folks. Democrats don't think. That's why I said Ed Cuck and a bunch of others. He's like, he asked me what I was doing today on this. I'm just like, why don't you tune in? It's a death of nuance and it's a death of facts to deal with you. Maybe he'll come on with you. I could bring you on with your TDS and you can defend your position and fail. So when you're trying to get right, they don't know why a team was moved from this building either. Because Rowe himself, as well as the FBI person, their assistant director, said it as well. This is a clear position which should have had a posting near it, not random officers. So apparently the microwave towers in the area, there was bad cell coverage. They don't bring generators. They were offered drones. Now, if there's an active shooter, right, he does dispel the myth that the shooter could have taken the shot. Now, as of this hearing, and I think currently, they do not have any. They're trying to do interviews. Like FBI has conducted 400 interviews, 400 plus basically, family members, everything else. And this is what they would have seen. Now, it's a miracle by the way that Sniper Team 2 was around. But the big thing was about the security details. Now, what's also is about the threats level. So, like, the threat level currently, like, as of this, because this hearing, so Biden had some of his detail pulled. I mean, pretty much the man's a corpse and he's not going to be the nominee. So he wasn't going to be the nominee. So why give him the protection? RFK is pretty much done. So that frees up that detail. But they have had numerous threats from lone wolves as well as others. Now, the thing about a lone wolf is lone wolves are hard to see. I mean, to be fair, like, go through history. The government will never understand lone wolves. By that, I mean weird people who do things. Ted Kaczynski's one. There's others. D.B. Cooper, who evaded the FBI for years, who made the jump and survived, and more than likely and ran away with the money, lived the rest of his life. Like, no one knew who he was. Like, if it's a lone wolf, they don't have connections. Without the details, you never know. People who work in teams, you can crack the teams, and then you can see it. Assuming most of the team members don't die, that or flunk out. So, like, pre 9/11, we caught one of the guys that was part of a team was supposed to go on a plane, but he didn't talk. Then 9/11 happened. And it's like, oh shit, what you knew then Like, that's how you know. But lone wolves and self-radicalized online are the most dangerous. You know? It's always the dangerous ones. They can't predict them. And we have a whole bunch right now. Like, the Iranian threat, as I said last time, is real on our government officials. So basically, this was after cartels they busted an FBI. The FBI busted more people, like, because it was very much established in Rye's testimony that the idea that you have these people infiltrating the country, the Chinese, the Russian agents, Chinese and Russian agents. You are trying to get information. Now, there's a whole topic on the Chinese secret police networks that are been established in the U.S., how they got in. That's been a big problem in the last 5 years as far as intelligence goes, and that would blow people's minds if they know about that. I mean, you see on YouTube, people get cold information. Like the Chinese and what they really have been doing in the last 10 years, and they're getting really worse. They're itching for a war. I mean, that is something we know. And they know the U.S. is the main protagonist that they'll fight in the West. I mean, but then again, right? What's the rule? No plan survives first contact with the enemy. So take anything that's like a video game. And that logic is as old as time itself. You know? And it applies. What you think you know and what doesn't. So that's why when you have people who play chess, a lot of people who play checkers can't beat chess players because chess players think long term. And that's what the Russians and the Chinese have been doing. They've had threats of assassin. Well, I mean, technically the Russians aren't trying to assassinate people. Chinese are just trying to get information gathering. That's been into the network for like Facebook. I mean, it goes back really to the social media hearings from 20 and 21 and prior. The government, unironically, was going to go after Google prior to Biden being elected because of Section 230 reform. I mean, that got squashed right around the time after Biden's election. I mean, hell, it's come back up again because Google's lost their second antitrust lawsuit. Either Google's either going to get heavily sanctioned or it's going to be broken up or become like Microsoft. One of the two. I mean, there's a whole theory into that. Because, again, as I said, high levels of the government. Play along, I leave you alone. Because people forget what happened to Microsoft. Microsoft just started donating money to Democrat causes for the powers that be. And we leave you the hell alone, even though you are a monopoly. I mean, and the FBI's been busy trying to bust drug dealers, bust wannabe hackers trying to get into the elections, find Hamas terrorists sneaking in through both the Mexico border as well as Canada. That was very firmly established, and that was established not here, but again prior. So the idea of the events of the day are weird. because this gives us more of the picture. There was communication issues all over the place. So when I say that, is Secret Service didn't have any cell service. They couldn't get a drone up until 5. Apparently, they have a different kind of drone that requires a cell phone connection. It's part of a security encrypted. They were offered drones, but they refused them, I guess, for whatever means. And in hindsight, being 2020, you're going to use it and assume they're safe. And it goes from the local law enforcement. And you could vet and see if there is no bugs or spy stuff in it. But local police weren't in the command center as well as that. So they couldn't coordinate well. So all the chaos of the day, as he established, was basically a breakdown in stuff. They were able to keep Trump. It's only one shooter, according to the official story. I mean, then again, where the guy was at 150 yards, you don't have to have a tree, 5-mile-an-hour wind. And the guy was a trained shooter. If Trump had turned his head, he would have had his head blown off. That close. So, like, if you see by the picture, right, it's like literally that's all they could see. See, so the shooter's drone is like a basic. So the thing about the rangefinder, right? So he came out there with like the equivalent to a golf rangefinder. So like when the government says, "Oh, you need to go look at," that would put you on a radar, right? But they lost track of it. They lost track of it. Now, in reality, they didn't have drone coverage because they're not going to go in and say, "Oh, if we operate in the backwoods, we can't have that," because mobile services couldn't be brought online. Now, that's a bigger problem. That's something they probably tightened up. I mean, if you're going to be in the backwoods areas, like, so Roe, basically the idea, right, is the official tagline is they have will to fire as long as there's a threat. Fine. That's an official statement. Now I believe that. I mean, but there's more issues. This actually was changing the planning of how they do events. Maybe not bulletproof glass. Maybe you use that. Maybe you use because you still can't answer the question, why, if they knew there was a threat, did they not wait to bring Trump onto the stage? Because what people don't know in the government, right? Let's say a Senate people, or a hearing where there's Secret Service or any of that, they won't bring the person on stage if there's a presence of a threat. That's something I've known for years. And that's why you see a delay in press conferences in other things. It's not AIDS versus it's a security threat. Like, oh, can we bring the president out? Can we bring the vice president out? I mean, the worst thing is, yes, assassinations happen. I mean, 10-pot dictator countries where they don't have bodyguards. That happens. Like, apparently there was a team inside of this building or near a building near here that could see over the roof. But they left that building. He didn't know why. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like, a lot of it's like, will they fire people? More than likely. Will we ever find out people were fired? Probably not. But like the connectivity issues with their drones, they're going to government official drones that need encrypted connections. That's why they couldn't fly theirs. But he could fly his drone. That's what the government people, that's what a lot of these senators don't get. It's not as sophisticated. He was using a Gulf rangefinder. He went back. He did have explosives. Now, the event of the day does make sense. Why there was that much chaos. They went looking for the guy. The guy felt for his safety, so he got off the roof. But the Secret Service didn't know about the guy with the gun on the roof to shoot the guy, because the two officers that supposedly climbed like a vent. He didn't use the ladder. He used like a vent to get to the roof. Now, that was established. So, but due to the bad communication, right? Secret Service couldn't act quick enough because they didn't have a drone. They didn't have microwave towers. There was no local official inside the command center, as they call it. So it creates a big problem, and this is an issue that publicly you're not going to know a lot of what happened. Privately, you will. 6 months down the road. What the after effects clearly were felt. Because once in a while, right? It's about, coincidentally, every president that's elected in a zero either has it goes back to an old Indian prophecy, or a curse. So an Indian chief in the prairie basically said every president that's elected in a zero will either be assassinated or have assassination attempts. Again, bear in mind, it's weird how that tradition is held up. Kennedy, Reagan, Bush had attempts on him. Trump's had it. Well, Trump was 16, but it was in 20. I was like, that's 16. Oh, 20, sorry. Yeah, it's like 20. So it's that weird thing. If it falls and their stuff 10-year falls at a zero, there's an assassination attempt. Now, how close they come is a separate thing. Call it for what it is. I mean, it's very scaringly how accurate it has been over the years. Now, a bot, basically confirmed when they seized all the electronic devices, guns, or the house, they had it checked. All the guns were bought legally. He bought ammunition. He clarified it was a Gulf rangefinder. Now, in reality, right, the person who spotted it was a normal officer who told the Secret Service. But for some bizarre reason this day, they didn't go looking for him to interview him, partly due to he vanished. So, and that's the on-site reporting. So let's say there was an on-site report, and no one can actually answer why, with an answer of a threat, why Trump was brought on stage with a clear presence of a shooter or someone suspicious with a rangefinder. Now, that is something that hasn't been answered. Clearly, you can't plan for everything, and they called it a false alarm. They thought the event was fine as it stands. And that makes sense. Now, is that a failure in planning? Probably. Again, it's firmly established that they had connection issues being back there. Now, I have talked to somebody. He lives in Texas, and he down near Austin. Somebody else. The guy basically went to a Trump rally, and they have perfect cell service, everything else, even in the countryside. So, and this was before this one. Now, assume that this is a case, and this is just a lapse that this happened. Now, in the thing in the devices, right? The FBI won't say what those apps are that he had on his computer, the laptop. I think there was like a PC. There was like Xboxes, right? There's no manifesto. There's a Twitter account that has pro-Biden or pro-Democrat, and unironically, some anti-Israel as well as anti-immigrant sentiment. Now, it's not linked to him officially yet, and it would be funny if that is him. Because the theory of the guy is so he was 12 when Trump was elected, if you think about it. So he grew up his entire teen years knowing Trump was this evil dictator. And his father was actually a Democrat gun owner, unironically. That's really, I'm not saying that's a weird comparison, but those are rare. And having a sports shooting gun, like, that's nothing. I mean, that's a dime a dozen in the U.S. I mean, imagine how much worse the UK riots would be if they had guns like we have. Love it or hate it, welcome to our country. It's a mess. The idea is they can't really establish a motive, why he did it. It's like a person who's going to actually kill themselves doesn't tell someone. They don't put it down. They don't put a manifesto. They don't put a note. They just go and do it. I've had that happen in my life. I knew of a guy who's like happy-go-lucky. The next day, he just blew his brains out. And I tell you, that's an awkward conversation. They go, did you know X person was suicidal? No. Didn't know X person was suicidal. Shit. That's why lone wolves are dangerous. Lone wolf operatives can move them. But the problem with their stuff is a lot of their stuff fails. Now, they couldn't elaborate on plots, what they watch, what they say, right? And comes from the same FBI that somehow lost the informant list that was supposed to be at January 6th. The Great Walk into the Capitol. But unfortunately, in this hearing, right, he didn't want to either say, he got asked the question as well, did you have any informants in the audience? Now, there's a woman with like brownish or black hair who was behind Trump on the stage with a MAGA hat that ducked. Someone did and I can't confirm this, did a background check of the FBI agents, and they found it and said, this is her. Yeah, I don't believe for 1 second they had no informants or no undercovers at that rally. Again, it's not conspiracy brain. Once you realize how our government works, it's funny. It's like January 6th. Half the crowd was Tea Party people with Antifa people mixed in, and a bunch of others. Then there were like curious, like 6 people with like red microphones directing people. The famous one is like Ray Epps. Possibly the world's biggest glowy at this point, and he's being charged with a misdemeanor. Yeah, we've had a lot of weird stuff in the last 4 years. What they call glowies, right? The term glowy is used for a government operative that looks like an agent. Like, they're not officially like a capacity, but they are used as an informant. So that's actually Ray Epps, which was behind the reason that Tucker Carlson got let go from Fox. He was about to sue him and says, well, you can't prove you're glowy and you tried to destroy my life. Well, the reason why there's theories about Ray Epps and other people like him is they have undercovers everywhere. There were undercover operatives in the rally that Black Lives Matter was doing at where I'm blanking on the name. Rittenhouse was in. There was an FBI surveillance drone. An FBI informant or asset saw it. Or was near. Rittenhouse, his attorney found out about it, had to basically requisition security cameras for the drone. But the FBI is like, well, we can't release it because it's going to look incriminating. Oh, shit. What have you guys barely been doing for the last 4 years? I mean, this was under more Comey, right? Because the FBI becomes a very political. And this is what Abbott and Rye is trying to dodge. And this is the weird thing why I just call it a bloated mess. Like, half our government's gotten bloated. You got a lot of people in these departments, and they're being mismanaged. Like Homeland Security basically should be monitoring foreign and domestic. You have 60% of FBI assets, 31% of foreign offices active on threats. We're not talking the investigations run by the CIA, and we're not even getting into the realm of how many NSA. Basically, we have the security alert prior to 9/11 is where we are at right now with the amount of chatter and things going on. Not saying it's going to happen, but with the amount of assets moving around, the amount of intel coming in, yeah, folks, we're in a very dangerous time. And that's not even into taking into account the election. So, and this election's a mess. So, following a lot of this, right? So, he confirmed the WhatsApp they couldn't get into. And I'm assuming his Discord. I mean, the Xbox, PlayStation, PC, right? So, there's no motive for the guy. Now, do I not doubt there's a motive? Yeah, speculation. No one acts without saying something. Everyone says something before they act. You just don't know when they're radicalized. Like the guy donated what's funny to Act Blue. Now, if you're not familiar with the Act Blue story since then, it's basically a corrupt super PAC that funds Democrats. It's turned into a slosh fund for them. Like during this is about the time when you started seeing they were moving stuff to Kamala Khan. Okay, that comes to I was watching something last night. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris's campaign. It comes from Eric was joking and called Kamala Khan Kamala Harris Khan. Yeah, you can tell how my brain just functions on a different level. Focusing on one thing and then there's a minor. But Harris was being anointed as long as Waltz was, and she's having to pick her VP shortly after. And of course, it's Waltz. I mean, and the big deal is, the question is, when you see stuff like this, I'm like, so 15 seconds of identification. Now, it's little as 6. This is public knowledge. See, he went to the rally grounds before he registered. He did practice shooting, bought new rounds. If you see it, it's a sportsman rifle, so he got it right. Okay. So the father willingly gave him the gun to go to the shooting range where he said he was going. Father didn't know anything. Family didn't know anything. Then he went and bought additional ammunition. So the drone footage that he possessed for his drone has not been found. And that's not unusual. Maybe it wasn't recorded. And this is a timeline. So 532. Apologize for the other. So 20 minutes makes a very big difference. This is the official timeline. As it stands. And it leaves a lot because the local officers lost sight of him. So like 6 away, right? So if you're noticing, there's large gaps that they could have caught him or seen it. Now, the idea of a long gun is just so. So it's 2019 to 2020. 7. Hold on. I actually. So there were 700 comments from this account, and this was from 2019 to 2020. So he would have been a teenager. Anti-Semitic, anti-immigration, with like and basically politically motivated. So let's see, it would have been 4 years? Like 16? This is speculation. I suspect the man had a Twitter. There's no way this man did it. There's like a video of him in a BlackRock education thing, even. But I just didn't part in it, right? I'm not saying it was like, maybe it was just a school. I mean, people forget, like, BlackRock does a lot of weird, like, promotional stuff. Like, he had to have been politically active. Like, and he known in his community. I bet that. I mean, what people knew and what people know are two different. And then he suddenly takes a turn to the far left. That's radical indoctrination. Unfortunately, see, it's not a WhatsApp. Now let's assume it's WhatsApp. WhatsApp has been controversial for many years. Twitter, you can get a lot of information. There's been this big push, and I think it concerns Graham. Graham brings this up as well. And I really hate this. It's like Republicans would, it'd be the natural gravitation pull. Democrats want gun control. Republicans want more information gathering. Which I roll my eyes, right? You don't see that. I know well enough what the government, trust me, I don't trust the government. You shouldn't either. I mean, you gotta half trust them. Half these people are corrupt. Because any amount of time, when you have career people in office, corruption happens. It's just a question of who. Bear in mind, it's like the president of Mexico or the main woman, like right now, or she. It's just she had to step over the dead body of the 8 other prior candidates. Yeah, go figure. We're not Mexico yet. We're not Brazil. We're not Central or South America, but probably on the way. We're already prosecuting prior administrations. So maybe we'll see, because apparently articles of impeachment have already been filed against Biden for being able to uphold his job. Okay. Yeah. But that's a matter for a different, right? You don't really want to make Kamala president unless you're thinking something's going to happen for the next, 4 months? What? We have effective 3 months till the election. See, Biden would be removed. It's like corruption, but good luck pursuing corruption charges when the laptops that the FBI has had for nearly 4+ years, there's 2 of them, in fact, have enough to charge Biden. But it's like Hillary Clinton, right? In the Comey report, prior that led to the election of Trump. Like, he basically dropped it. Hillary Clinton just had like 150 FBI agents up her ass for no reason. Again, I'll reiterate that. She had 150 agents up her organization's ass with the DNC, the Clinton Foundation, and everything. There was a DNC staffer that they say was killed in a robbery attempt, leaving his apartment. But he still had his wallet and valuables. And it was on the day he had found some missing emails and was going to go talk to the FBI director. The FBI. Shot dead that morning in a failed robbery or attempted robbery. But he still had everything in his wallet. Nothing. Everything attached. Again, Clintons and a closet of dead bodies. Yeah. If you ever wonder where that meme comes from, there's a reason. How many people do you know around you that have died or been killed? Yeah. Take into account. It's very above average for the Clintons. Very suspicious. Just saying. But then again, they filed her and shuffled her away so she can just go live in retirement and then drag her out because apparently she's even come out this election cycle. Not to run because she had a stroke. Bear in mind, during the Obama administration, she was nowhere to be seen for like 6 months. Rehash old events. It's always funny. But, like, and she's still mad at Trump, too. But these people, it goes to show the FBI knows these details. And it's really weird about the data collection. Because the idea, though, that terrorist networks have been using, like, PlayStation and Xbox to communicate, that's not anything new. They use Discords. Discords don't record either. You know? That's the thing. Like, a lot of these apps people want access to, unless you save it. Like, what's the one mobile app? Snapchat, right? Because the idea of Snapchat is, unless you take a screenshot of a Snapchat, it's meant to disappear with the initial purpose. It's not meant to be permanent. It's meant to be purged because of data collection reasons. Because the difference between Eastern and Western philosophy, like the Chinese, is our government does have these assets to do this, but it's illegal and inadmissible in court. Probably most of the time. For that reason. Now, given that knowledge, in this case, they're legitimately baffled. Why the guy became radicalized, no one knows. But I'll be right back. So a lot of this hearing was meant to clarify the nature of the events officially. The official story for it is it's reiterating right? It's like, what do they know, and what did they know then? Now, he only had a couple of it. It wasn't as bad as the woman's testimony. I can't remember her name. Shittles. Like, she showed a lot more cracks. Like, so this is the thing. This is what he's talking about. The communication. So, reiterate that. So, the question was, knowing there is this threat, why didn't they delay it? Because Congress people know if you have this, you're going to delay the event. Or delay the event or delay coming on stage. It's more short and sweet. They have 5 minutes. You got to bear in mind, they only have 5 minutes to ask the question or they yield it, which is really weird. This is Cornyn, John Cornyn, who's been our senator, or at least in Texas, for a while. He does a lot of due diligence. Sometimes not liked by Republicans, but truth, people hate it. So, like Roe. So, a rangefinder is a threat. So, a lot of these people ask the same question over and over again. Now, smart people can dodge it. Mm-hmm. Cornyn, parts of Rand Paul's testimony are really good as well. I have to give credit to him on that. Now, that's the thing. So, it's intention. And like a cop has this problem to shoot, but he's not inside. And the problem is hindsight's always 2020. honestly. It's kind of like the 9/11 Commission report. There's like 11 redacted pages that we know of, if not more, that would have made it in. But same with the Warren report. A lot of that got redacted. That's mostly because of Saudi Arabia's intelligence. You know? The Saudi royal family doesn't debate the charges that they don't fund terrorists, but God forbid you publish it. This is the other thing that's hammered home in this hearing, too. So that's a big deal, right? So the Secret Service, they only take 2% of the applicants. That is a big deal. Like, I mean, FBI is like maybe like it's not just a pot. Like, let's say you get into the FBI or go into the trials for the FBI, so to speak. You got to be squeaky clean. You got to have nothing on your record. You can't have any disciplinary actions. You can't. Hell, you got to be able to pass a government certified check. Literally, to get into the Secret Service and FBI. You got to meet qualifications. It's not like, oh, because a lot of the narrative I saw, they're like, oh, you're just letting anybody on. That doesn't work. I mean, you're talking a group of select 7,000 or 8,000 individuals right now that have to investigate, currency fraud, a bunch of other stuff, as well as protect high individuals that come into the U.S. and be part of an organization that actively has to protect government officials of all kinds, especially during the UN conference, was near around the same time Trump's thing was, where he was near assassinated. They had to plan that perfectly. But the idea, and they'll tell the local people, they'll literally tell the local people, you need to take a line of trash trucks, line them up behind a stage to hold up a security vulnerability. But what he's reiterating here is they work with locals and they assume the local has it, but they couldn't get into the communications. Basically, you had two. So let's assume they have to cover the General Assembly, but I wouldn't call New York City the typical police department either. They are a mini military themselves. Them and Los Angeles, by the way, both. Los Angeles, right, as well as New York City, is ports of entry. You got, that's why it's interesting with their police state currently, as it stated their police, so to speak. You have Port Authority, which is under Homeland Security since 9/11, where they have to detect radar, like radiation, anything that comes in. Let's say someone sink in a bomb or something, a dirty bomb, any kind of thing, in a shipping crate. TSA that guards airports are also underneath. Like, you got in New York, like a shit ton of them. Like, and people argue that that police should not be militarized. And it's a really shitty example because it's an obvious example, but he's using it. But normally you're going to work with local assets. This is where he's talking about the drone. So he asked about the drone. And he can't say which one he uses, but the person told me, who does technology, told me what they probably used. So the thing is, the drones they're probably using uses an encrypted connection to a cell phone device that is linked to a person with multiple factor authentication. Okay. Now, this is a different type of drone than the one drone he had. So he's going off the one. There is not a second shooter. Like, a lot of these are like, you can go through. Again, it's like, but he's consistent, right? It's not going to be much difference. Like, he's very composed. Like, I think he had, like, I forget what part it is. He had one or two breaks. Like, a lot of these people who go before these committees are very composed, and they should be composed individuals. Like stoic gargoyles sitting outside of a cathedral. Good ones don't crack under pressure, you know. They don't talk, they hide. This is where you see it. Like, this is one of those weird ones. He got asked this. Okay. This is where he got a little testy. So if you look at his demeanor, he's more animated and more angry because this was a follow-up to this. John, that's a guy that makes a lot of media tours in the US. Like, he makes the media tours of the network. So he cuts him off and asks, what more do you need to investigate to know? He's making the most of his time. At what stage do you know where they were working situation? And the thing about the accountability. Now, that's a good answer. He needs to know what happened so he can hold the people accountable. Now, the man clearly has shame. Like, if there's a break, it's kind of like with me. This is how you can tell people when they admitted mistakes. The prior director couldn't solve this. He's not going to make the rush to judgment. So he's not going to prima facie. And if the words is, this could have been his Texas school book depository where but the senator is doing showmanship and asking for someone to be held accountable immediately. Now, this was the contentious part of the hearing. But you can't just fire people without an investigation. Now, this is the weird, right? This is the accusation that 2 years he hasn't, Trump was not getting the adequate coverage. Now, Cruz, for all the sake of it, has become a better senator. Still a POS. Don't get me wrong. Didn't vote for the man, but he's our senator. So a lot of this information he got from the whistleblowers. And whistleblowers are anonymous. He knows that the planning failed. So the thing about whistleblowers, they have a protection. They are anonymous. That's the drones that they were offered. But like Cruz is his own. He does do his job. Don't like it. So he was a lawyer by trade. Cuban lawyer. Cuban descent. But he's a lawyer. which you think leans conservative. But what's funny is I've never met a conservative lawyer. Take it for what it's worth. You have to have a liberal leaning to be a lawyer. By liberal, I mean you need to go to that side of the spectrum. Be more pragmatic and be more open. You have to have some liberal leaning. It's not in your tradition, right? And bear in mind, he got elected in a super PAC that got heavily funded from out of state. Again, look, but he's been ours. We'll keep him until he's going to retire or he doesn't do the job. Now, he does have this tendency to come off really bad at interviews. Let's see. He doesn't. These are the tweet gotchas. All these people love these billboards. It's accurate in Butler, but it's not accurate in anywhere else. Because following this, all assets got approved for Butler, Pennsylvania, but not for some others. And this is where the shady part's been coming in. I don't think they conspired to get the man killed, but I think it's like they were trying to work with what they were given. And as I said, they go back to the first one. There are 1,500 people understaffed. Now, a lot of these are weird. Like, some of these people. See, this is where he reiterates the story about the but the Secret Service didn't hear about this. So about 30 seconds, right? But no one tells the Secret Service because they didn't have a person inside the communication command. So the idea of the command center is in this part. And they want the transcripts for it. But this has been established that the local presence had no presence inside. Now, granted, call it this wasn't as bad. Like, people are wondering why it's the case. And that's going to be the question. Oh, good people show. 3 years. So, yeah, what time I decided to start this. I was going to start this later, but I want to do something later. So, the ideal, right, is You can go back and look. A lot of this is clarification. Like, we know that there wasn't a person. You know, it was a breakdown in communication. That's actually, he uses a really good analogy. 30 seconds is basically a huddle, a play, and time for another huddle. Maybe a timeout. Or a timeout like that. It's like, that's actually real. That's like weird. It's not a long time, but you could instantly know. And the thing about the communications, a lot of this is public hearing. This was public knowledge. And this is official. So here's the thing, and this is where it gets interesting. I do think there's more to this story than they let on. But what people do in the moment, so the big question here itself is, if he's spotted at 6:12, 15 seconds. So this report is, there's a lot of theories. Now you have reports, incident reports at the scene. Now what he is bringing up is speculation reports that would not be released to the public. Now, he's talking about a photo, but the question is either concealment or getting into that firing position. Now, the accusation made against the Secret Service. Okay, so he brings up on a bot, and I looked into this as well. Like, it was kind of this weird, that look, by the way, after that, looks tell the story. Let's see, eyes are the windows to the soul, so to speak. These people, these hearings, let's say body language, let's say, when it doesn't convey what you see. Because when I say off body language and stuff like this, a person like Tony can lie through a voice all day because he's a narcissistic person. A killer could say, "Oh, how do you think I didn't kill the person?" But you see it in the body language. That's like the tersest looking face. The frown, like you don't see it. The frown, the eyes, the guy in the back. That's like, he knows he fucked up. And he just goes back to composure, like nothing happened. Like, it's micro. And there's like little bits in body language you learn about people. There's something I couldn't confirm was there was a side conversation between the other. I was talking to an aide. It got picked up on her mic, but these are the whole follow-up, right? This is what I was talking about earlier, about the satellite. Do you not have satellite communication for real time? So she asked some really good questions, and I'll clarify this. So, what she just asked, right? She's from Nevada. So, let's say you have like Super Bowl style size events, you have mobile units, you have satellite assets. There was periods in the US. The reason why a lot of our technology, cell phone technology, gets throttled is not for the reasons you think. Legitly. It's mostly government. We couldn't have 5G because for a while Blackberries and other frequencies are limited because they're government communications. They're treated as a wavelength that the government uses. Now, this is also special towers as well, if that makes sense. So let's say you have LTE, 5E, 5, like, I mean, they've gotten better over the years. They're not as bad about it. I mean, 5G is still not 5G in the US, but communication and instant, right? Like, if something were to go down at the Super Bowl, it would be over in seconds. And it doesn't make sense that they would not have a mobile unit when they have said themselves that they weren't able to fly a drone until like after 6 o'clock. They got some bandwidth. It's so weird. So intelligence, right? What did they know and what they know when? This is where she talks about the Iranian threat. This is something that's been going around for since before. But this is DHS's and the FBI's territory, not the others. Because if you can't stop a lone wolf, what stops a person like Hamas from Hamas or Iran? And they aren't. They are not a member of the intelligence community. They are a law enforcement community. This is what a lot of people in the government have failed to notice for the last 8 to 10 years. This is a good answer, by the way. Very good answer from him. They are not a law enforcement agency. They're not an investigative agency. They're not an intelligence agency. They are a law enforcement. They are a protective organization. FBI, on one hand, is an investigative body. CIA and NSA are intelligence. They're not, I mean, hell, they do employ assassins, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, they're intelligence gatherers. They're not actually the people who do the jobs. It's like asking a CIA, it's like asking like a special forces person. So you see a lot. And most of these people it's the profile of a lot of these people. Loner, lone wolf. They're the worst to identify because you can't find them. Hinckley basically traveled multiple campaign stops to stalk. And it's really actually interesting. And that's a modern era kind of a thing here. He was fixated on doing it and nothing was going to stop him. There's been reports of going back in the history of political violence since 2020 of multiple assassination attempts on both what was it, the House committee had a guy break in to his office, attacked personally, and he happened to be in there, and he got lucky that the guy got scared. And he was like an Antifa style guy. He wasn't a conservative guy. He was an Antifa style guy. Democrats have been basically dealing with this wave of political violence that they have fostered. I'm not saying fostered, but look, they're trying to be contrarian and call it for what it is. It's a threat to the greater whole. And that is part of the fallout of a lot of stuff. Like, they have neglected this threat for nearly 2+ years. Black Lives Matter, right? In other organizations. And I mean, this guy you can tell is very media trained. He goes far because he makes a lot of rounds. If you see his animation, his body language, he's less contentious with him. But a lot of this hearing, it wraps it up like there's a lot of good stuff. Like Tom Cotton, of course, very face of stuff when it comes to things. Well, he knows how to get information out. He knows how to gather. He knows how to do it. Now, the big deal about this is it just gets strange, It's like we're looking at this as a perspective of I look at this from an information gathering more than I do anything else. This clarified the event. There's not much more you can really truly add. It's like they don't have information. They know what they know. The guy's dead. They're going to try to gather the information. But it's not like you have a massive amount of stuff. And I mean, it's not. I mean, at this point, it's been 3 hours and he's annoyed. That was blocked by the trees, of course, but the other one was blocked by trees. Yeah, so the one on the stage right was blocked by the tree that you see in the image. Now, in reality, is this just a failure? Yes. Can they do better? Sure. He was a lone operative. Father gave him the gun to go out and do this. Now, you can look at it until the day is cold on who screwed up and who screwed up when. I mean, after 3 hours of testimony in front of people like this, people are going to crack and they eventually. They don't really screw up. I mean, they're not going to say what they can't say. They're definitely going to, as much as we know, we just don't know why he acted. I mean, almost every person who's been in assassination target, or doing the person doing it, has always been a deranged individual, or a person who's a loner. Was it Sirhan? Sirhan was that way. Sirhan basically bluffed his way past the stuff to kill Robert Kennedy. Made himself look like the worker. They didn't think about it. Meanwhile, the JFK assassination looks like a planned psyop. I mean, that area is very different than it was many years ago. There was a parking lot behind the grassy knoll. So, multiple films said he was shot from the front first, not the back. So the idea of that has never been disproven, even by modern standards. He fell backwards first before falling forwards. So the idea there was a team of shooters there has never been fully disproven. But then you go back to Teddy Roosevelt being shot. It was by some guy that was disenfranchised. The one prior to him was a disenfranchised loner person. That's ultimately who does these acts. Now, the fallout of this has been they tightened up entire teams. Now, in reality, they're still understaffed. Pardon the phrase, undermanned. But they're doing better with what they have. Biden's staff has been cut down. It's gone to Kamala Harris. I mean, literally, Biden is a walking target right now. He's less protection than Trump, but no one's going to willingly assassinate Biden. RFK stuff has been pulled back because he's not the nominee. I mean, it goes on without saying, not without saying, that they're working with what they have. You have Kamala Harris, right, who's doing 3 to 4 events, doing the scheduling stops, despite what she says and how she's off the record. Because I haven't quite gone into that. Because a lot of the stuff on her is she's gotten away with a lot of things. She can't speak before a camera. Get her outside of a scripted event, she's a mess. Walz, it's the most progressive ticket in U.S. history. Both have terrible law enforcement records. That's another thing for future thing. Because they have to go into candidates too. It's because like Trump's innocent. But Kamala Harris's record is that. But they're holding 3 to 4 events, sometimes a day, going from one day, setting up to one, getting over there, doing it, right? Or over 2 days. And the big deal, right, is it's interesting. You're not hearing about gaps in their coverage. You're not hearing about that. Full schedule for them is quite literally different. Now, did Trump take some time off after being shot? Yes. He did. It's not a secret he did. He took time off. So the issue itself with this is, what was the government's response? We haven't really had one since. All we know is they've tightened up details on individuals. They're listening to intelligence. Hindsight is 2020. I don't think it was more than one shooter on this one. I think it was just that. And a failure in connection. You've had operatives, senators and congressmen attacked in their office. I mean, like the Pelosi attack is considered, it's weird. The guy was deranged himself. He wasn't conservative. For God's sakes, her house is surrounded by homeless people. I say that nicely. The homeless issue over there is bad. They just wander around and they can't do nothing about them. So one of the few things Trump got right on that whole deal, sometimes he's more of a psychic. Have you ever seen a burglary where the windows from the broken in from the inside out? That's an actual detail from the case. And he said that as a joke. And of course, you know, and the double standard is they go, oh, if something happens, we would have said it. It's like, I look at that as a security breach too. Speaker of the House as a deranged homeless person that just comes in. Or a gypsy style guy, yeah. Be lucky the guy didn't come in with a gun. It's California with drug-fueled violence. It was far worse. But yeah, like as far as stuff goes, like currently, we're just in the dead heat. Um, like she basically, to my knowledge, I think she's gonna be. Let me see, because we're on the 19th, right? So 3 days. Damn it. I have these things of. You know what? I need to get these things to stop. I have God, I hate Windows 11 because it's like trying to say I have to clear out my cloud storage because like they say, oh, you have 5 gigs. Oh shit! Quiet. Welcome. I do video work, and apparently I store it in a folder that you know it copies over. Good. Hold on. So yeah, this is like Jesus. So Kamala Harris has been confirmed as a nominee. I mean, I'm surprised there's been no violence there. I mean, we can go into the whole money situation with her. I need to do some research on like here, right? 5 days of a convention, right? Let's say it's day 4, right? This convention has DNs. I bet there's not a gap in the coverage here. You have a 4-day convention. You're going to tell me there's not a lapse there? No, there isn't. RNC didn't have a lapse, but a convention, a random stop in Pennsylvania does. Which makes sense, but not to this degree. Now, they're going to run it. It goes to confirm, right? They have to. Now, so it's weird. And I'll probably get into that because this is a weird one we're going into. She's raised 500 million supposedly. I highly doubt that. A lot of that is probably repurposed donations, but that goes into the second half. What I have to go in and do a little bit more research in between though, streaming like Black Myth Wukong and some other stuff that I'm going to do the other half of the game for. But the candidates I'll go into as well. Because it's not like Trump is squeaky clean. Trump has issues himself. Kamala Harris isn't the perfect candidate either. lesser of two evils. I mean, Kamala Harris has the whole weight of the economy behind her. But that's probably be in the future, like here. But yeah, as I said, I got a very, very busy. See, I would say I'm going to stream Black Myth Wukong, like at least 4, so I'll go into part 3. So I got to clear part 2. As I said, I only got 2 bosses left. I got the secret boss, which is Thunder Long. Longs are what they call the dragons. Except this isn't a flying dragon. This is a dragon. Looks like a dragonkin from D&D, but fatter, pudgier, with 2 thunder melons. Yeah. It's not a bad fight. I just don't know how to dodge it. He has one attack. He beats the ground like a drum. That's what does the damage, and to you, and it's wave, and then he has a big bash. Like at some point, like I did some experimentation on him. Like, I don't know what the hell he gives. Like half the time they don't tell you what these bosses give you, but they're secret bosses. Like the Buddha statue gives you the smash staff that I'm using, the rare one. Gives you armor. Like hell, someone told me that entire skipped up the entire area. I will have to go into that when I complete the game. But on a second playthrough, I can show the cinematics and I know what to do. It is a beautiful game. Painful. I mean, the tiger boss drains people. Either you're stuck there, but you can kill everything else. So the Thunder Along is just different. It's a different kind of boss. See, in the last, because they're using Chinese dragons, they're not traditional. So, long dragons are the ones that look serpentine. See, it's like the red dragon, the red long. But Thunder Long's different, and there's no way. So, I was going to start Space Marine too. I think I'm going to go out tonight. So someone just asked if they wanted to go out. I'm like, okay, sure. It's my night. So it might be later tonight that I'll stream it. But yeah, like I got that. I have the final boss for 2. Which is the giant asshole in a windstorm. If I don't sound excited about that's an easy fight versus the tiger, which is inside of a canned arena. I have to show people. Part of my frustrations, if you never saw that, then I got Space Marine 2 is released in 9, but I might get the version I play earlier. I mean, but I gotta get Space Marine out of the way. And I gotta see how long I need to get for Space Marine 1 isn't that long of a game. So like I don't know. But yeah, but it's really interesting on that whole Black Myth Wukong. It's a good game. I'll have to give my thoughts, but yeah, like not a lot of people have completed it. But the problem itself is a challenge getting there. I mean, it's not Souls-like, it's just a pain in the royal ass. Like, if you look at the boss, imagine getting stuck on a boss. Just show people. So, just to show people. If you're curious, this is what people don't understand. There are people who make this look effortlessly. Okay? You gotta understand. There are people who make this shit look effortless. And this is where I was stuck for 2 days. Like, let's say, give or take. Like, I had to get gear. Like, he's using no pots, no nothing. So this boss is probably the most painful boss I've ever seen in the actual game. Now, if you look at his weapon, you can figure out what he's using. But they don't tell you, and there is no guide. And let me see a sec, because I can probably tell. So it's like these people, and it's not actually the people who actually play this. This is like a 2-minute fight. It's not a 10-minute. See, the thing he's using is a staff. See, his staff, right? But this is a boss that if you miss a dodge, he basically, like, it's just one. And actually, when I beat him, I'm just like, it's not. Actually, I beat him with still health to use. It's because he doesn't like complying with what you think beats him in a game. So once you realize what people are using, right? People make this crap look effortless. Right. It isn't effortless, so to speak. And there's no firm guide. Large bosses are walking targets. Okay? Yeah, but let's save that for later, right? And I'll have to get into it when you talk about some of the bosses in this game. Like, the concept that you have just big, giant bosses. Like, this game loves its big, giant bosses. Let's say you have a big, giant boss. By the way, don't spoil yourself on the endings that are already out. All these people are milking it. That Mellow guy is the only one that I've seen has got it posted. These bosses are basically, this is where I've been stuck. Like, I get stuck on the canned bosses that you can't run away. But these people are easy to kill. They're not hard. All they do is, once you realize the cheese, you realize how to cheese them. Oh, I gotta hear this. This is a Scarab boss. I don't mind showing this. This is what you're not going to get to see. So the Scarab boss is like these big lumbering bosses that have like this AoE. They're not the worst, right? As long as you're right. Now, I could go into spoilers, but like that's it's funny that he has those. But that's gonna be my next project. So it's kind of like I want to say like some of these, right? It's like uh he's there. Indeed. Show this. This game is beautiful in what it does. Look, the imagery in the game is absolute. By the way, I cannot wait to get to this fight. See, Chinese dragons, right, are long and serpentine. There's a whole lore to them. It's not as deep as like Elden Ring, but there's always a reason in the world why something is the way it is. So, there's 4 dragon deities. Well, not deities, but they turned against the celestial court. One was killed, right? And this is one of the bosses upcoming. See, I've already done that. Like, here, I've already done the quest for this guy. So apparently there is... See, the dragon is interesting. That's going to be a fun one to learn. A lot of these bosses, right? They're all giant bosses. See, I'm at the point right now, the elements that... Oh, to describe it when I play. When I start entering chapter 3, a lot of stuff is using it. Like, stuff that is absolutely thunder is murder. You know? So longs, right? So this is one of the other dragons that's there. Because if you don't beat the secret bosses, right, you don't get that far. But they're all... And there's a lot of people that are... They don't like the direction of the game. I think parts of the game are hard. This is what I don't get. I'll be honest, and this is when I go into the game. I can tell in achievements who's killing what. And I can tell you the streamers are skipping over a shit ton of the game. And to be fair, it's an artistic masterpiece. But I can tell you that when 20% of the world only has an achievement, yeah. But yeah, that's why you're not seeing a lot of guides. So this is like the ice region. I mean, a lot of these, right? So this is a boar that gets you there. I'm kind of curious, did he go over? He may have not done it right. Like, so, like, that boss, some of these bosses are easy, some are different. It makes me wonder if he just takes down his live streams. It doesn't show it. So he cut through a lot of the material. Oof. So he took down a lot of these VODs. See, like where I'm at. Hold on. That's not in an area I am at. I may have killed this guy. I don't know. I have to look at my own beastery. Oh, yeah. This is the Thunderlong. Yes. That's the Thunderlong, by the way. Asshole. Asshole in the highest caliber. Ha! Same response I had. Yes, this boss's mechanics are fun as hell, by the way. This is the Thunderlong, or they call it Black Long. And he doesn't stun. So, I got this boss I gotta do. And then, I've already, like, killed a bunch of these. See, he fought the Red Long. I already done that. Yeah, like, I've already done, like, half of this. I think the only boss I have left is Thunderlong, which is the Black Long, and the final boss. Now, I gotta see about, I think I've killed the Mad Tiger. I think in chapter 2, there's so many different bosses. So, it's not easy. Everyone's like saying it's easy. Is it really, really easy versus the other? Like the Scarab, I could probably kill without help. But see, he went straight through the story without finishing the bosses. Like, he doesn't have the... Okay, here's one. Yeah, see, a couple of the cutscenes, right? I'll have to do in a second. It's definitely a good world building. So, the cellar, right? Huh. Now, what? I may have killed the Mad Tiger, and I didn't realize it. I don't know where it is. Yeah, I've been very, very, very busy. No. But yeah. No. I may have fought him. I don't know. But yeah, like, to my knowledge, unless there is, I would remember if I fought this one. But yeah. Like, he's playing on console. or by controller. But yeah, this game is on my current, and it's a good one. Some bosses are frustrating. Like this boss, yeah, it's not as bad as the tiger. The tiger itself is just really badly designed. But knowing that I am past it, like, eh. Anyways, I will be back. I'll probably do it. I don't know. Maybe do a later stream. Like, I like the visual style in this game. Like, it is good. All these. And by the way, Mobilize only works on so many. It's easy until you see, like, the 80th failure of a human being that people have cut down. That's what I say. But visually, right? The game is beautiful. Like, you cannot match it in the slightest. But yeah, this fight, I've figured out how. But like, the problem with this fight is not taking the damage from his bullshit. So he spits lightning onto a thing. Onto hammers, and when he explodes, right, he has like an explosive effect. Now, he isn't the toughest of individual, but the man has an AoE ground pound that is fucking like ridiculous. That wave, because this boss I have done, but I gotta check and see if I killed the Mad Tiger. I have. Then again, this area you never know if you have explored every nook and cranny of the game. So, there's a lot of mini bosses. So I think the last one is like the longs in the mountains. Anyways, I'll conclude it with that. Yeah, I was like literally like 2 million people in game. Like, this game has been a like sleeper hit, and I'm gonna have to go over it. Yeah, I do hate the tiger boss. When a boss is stupid like this, like, honestly, when a boss is dumb like this, it looks fine, right? The animations, right? He is like this animation, yeah. He is like one of these people that's so this move hurts like crap. And it's different for everybody. Like, stuff works on different bosses. So, in these situations, you pray that the gourd pops off. Just so you get the idea. But that's not half the problem with this boss. Every single boss has an enrage. Or, I wouldn't call it an enrage timer, but it has a rage that it gets into. Let's say it's like a third, 2/3, and the last. They thought ahead, and it ain't Dark Souls. It's just asinine mechanics. Like that mechanic goes through rocks, as you'll see. I've tried jumping. I've tried dodging. It doesn't work. So yeah, that's gonna be the big one. I just gotta figure out how I can do it. It's the thing. That's where I'm at, and I don't have a thunder resistance. Trust me, thunder resistance doesn't exist in this game either. So, anyways, I will let people be. You can go back and watch the first part. This is that. I am past the tiger. I am happy. The tiger is more of a roadblock. Like everyone is saying this game is easy. It depends on what you're doing. Some bosses you clear easy, others you don't. Like this asshole. Yellow Sage is nothing. I have already seen stuff on him. I'll save the animation for people to watch later. He's a giant boss that lives in a windstorm. I'm fine with that. Those bosses don't affect me one bit. They hurt. They have a smash attack. You just got to figure out how to dodge their smash. But I got my own. Pluck a Mini, by the way, is basically level of multiform mimic tier from Dark Souls, but different. They stay on the field a while. I got the alternative to Cloud Strike right now, so which is Stone Skin. Now you can beat certain bosses. You can just like brute force it. But the big deal, right, is there. But that's the bosses I have. Like, these things are. I gotta see too. The Mad Tiger might be somewhere else. Because certain areas don't open. See, he went and tackled the longs later on. I just found that. I had no issues with that. So, I will be back or so and go out. I might be I'll stream later, maybe. Well, yeah. I was doing it this morning. Not streaming, but playing. Then I got my new staff, and it just turns out to be deadly. I'm like, good. That was the final component. And it was right in front of me. But yes. I can go back and watch the other one. It's just weird. Everyone who calls this easy is not easy. I wish it were. But yeah, the tiger by far is the worst boss. And that's a mini boss. That's a lieutenant. That's a boss. Anyways. But seriously, like these people, they go in for an hour and they're working on one save and they've already probably beat it. But like I'm good at certain dodges, but it is definitely the one. And I'll have to go in talking about it. I was getting Black Myth Wukong anyways. Like, visual style is good, but I stumble on a lot of the mysteries beforehand. It's not like a big. It's VTuber discovers Fallout New Vegas. Ugh. I roll my eyes when a lot of people say this is easy. You got the people who got in early and then the ones who are learning from everybody else. So, anyways, I will be out. I think the next part I'll do in the political series. Yes. When I do play through again, I'll enjoy it. I kind of know what the bosses do. Eh. Yeah, but there's a lot of people like they don't get about Black Myth Wukong. Like, it's a good game. I mean, Grants does have some shit combat. Yeah. I'll probably go over it next time I play. And there's also, but the next part I'll do, it's going to go into the candidates, what I think are the strengths. But we're going into a crazy election cycle. But I actually gotta get past gaming, though, so. Okay. So, with that, I'll be out. Go back and watch what I said before. And Edward, please learn some facts. Because you are where facts go to die and nuance. I haven't had any it's and on to gaming concerns. See, sometimes I pay attention to the news and then I just do this. Anyways, so I think what? But yes, that'll be out. I'll probably stream later. And I might have to touch on the whole Bo DeMaio situation. I don't want to. I don't want to be mean about people, but I just realized something. Everyone's covering for Bo DeMaio right now. I may have to touch upon that situation. This is an audience in Cope. I think it's a good. I think he put out a good. I'll have to do something. I'll talk about the Mondays. Oh, it's worse than we thought, but anyways. So the next I'll do is probably the political one will get like I'll have to intermix it between because I need to do a rundown of Space Marine 1 before I go to Space Marine 2. Like, I want to say that's like a 20-hour game, maybe less. I think. I think. But I guess it's going to depend on the pacing. Yeah, but the whole Bo DeMaio situation's kind of crazy, by the way. The shoe that dropped on that. But I might, when I come back later, stream. But I don't know. I may just sleep tonight and stream tomorrow. That's going to be the trick. Anyways, I'll catch people later, and then definitely it's going to be next week. Next week's issue. Catch people later, and thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave down below, because I will be going through the political cycle of this election. I've just been trying to keep up with both the gaming, sometimes entertainment, and keep up with the other. Because that's usually why, with me losing my second monitor, it's just like, ugh, I can't listen to anything. Like, so I just dialed in this morning. Very rare do I find a game, by the way, like Black Myth Wukong, that I can just get immersed in. See, Flintlock Siege at Dawn was also on my list as well. You know, the game that could have been if they didn't screw it up. And it wasn't the whole Sweet Baby thing versus action RPGs are made or broken by their combat system. Flintlock Siege at Dawn might be a good game, but not at launch. Black Myth Wukong, I can get multiple playthroughs out of it. You know, there's different ways you can go about it. Now, how many hours and how many playthroughs do I think there is? I don't know. But I could see that as a yearly playthrough. And right as I said it, they're all covering for Bo DeMaio being an asshole. It's funny how, and it would go into the whole political thing too. Right. I have basically said I'm noticing an issue with lefties. I'll conclude on this. I'm noticing an issue. I noticed it in the issues with the assassination stuff on Trump and in this political cycle that happened in the aftermath. Liberals and lefties and people who are activists have lost their minds. They cannot look at stuff objectively. In the hearings themselves, you see it. Basically, those senators and Congress people are drunk on their own Kool-Aid half the time themselves, regardless of the tribal politics they do. And I do lean conservative and vote Republican. But if you can prove to me that you are a corrupt entity, then yes. But half these people I see that claim to be leftist and progressive, they're unprincipled. The allegations that Bo DeMaio did is a prime example. Let's say it's assassination on Trump. People were celebrating in the streets. If Trump had been killed, the jubilation and the joy that would have gone through the streets. The same as these are the same people who defend Bo DeMaio and what he has been accused of and what was semi-confirmed. Nuance and facts don't matter. And that's all I care about. Nuance and facts. Feelings can be damned. I mean, you can have understanding emotion all day. But that doesn't solve the issue, now does it? But these people, though, I swear, they're leftists and progressive. They don't keep track of stuff. It's fine as long as their side does it. It's okay. I'm not going to mention who I'm watching, who I have it on it, and he's just doing it. But a lot of these people that are leftists, they have like Dane's crew, political. They overlook everything the other side does. They don't care what their side does. But if it's the other side, they're bad people. And I could do a whole diatribe on that. It's not even hypocrisy. I see it in Tony. I see it in everybody else. Tony's not a conservative. So, yeah. So, I'll have to see how it works out. Because the 9th is the release of Space Marine 2. I do need to get back into Diablo. But it'd be weird not to do a playthrough of Space Marine 1 before Space Marine. But I don't know how long Black Myth Wukong's going to take either. I am truly hoping I have passed the hump. And I mean that nicely. My character's level 50. So wish me luck. Like a level 50. If the game is hard at this point. But yes, but do remember, folks, tribalism is a bad thing. And always understand nuance and facts. That is what's dying with the death of the internet. Because I'm also going to have something I'm going to have to bring someone on or just do a thought discussion on it. Because literally the death of nuance and understanding, especially when it comes into the political stuff like the Trump assassination, all I care about is the absolute truth. That's why I say what I say. To me, something doesn't add up. Do I think there's healthy levels of speculation? Yes. Do I think people are lying or hiding details? Potentially. But I also understand pragmatic nature. You have to have that in certain governmental factions. That's why if you go back and look at it, and you can go back and look at that hearing yourself, I encourage it. A lot of people haven't looked into the actual details of it. What was known and what was known when. And it's weird I wasn't wrong. But, as I say, the political cycle isn't done yet. And then I've just been tuning out, just focusing on Black Myth Wukong, so I look it back and I'm at like 43 hours. I think. Hi. That's where my week has been. 41 hours, to be more precise. I want to say maybe 8 of those hours I was passed out. Oh boy. I'm not going to get into that. I crashed. So, yeah. I will leave people be, and I wish you luck, and I'm going to have to expand that series, so I'm going to do more. I just got to work it in and schedule them. It's just going to be very hectic. Very, very hectic. So, catch people done. Questions down below, thoughts, suggestions, sure. And I apologize for having this misscheduled. Yep. But, as I say, wish me luck. I got to get past yeah, it's going to be great. It's just... All right. Catch people later.